And now, celebrating 13 years on the air, this is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime with David Hero, Frank Cosentino, Linda Kay, the man they call Meathead, and Damian Nelson. All the latest from World Wrestling Entertainment, total nonstop action wrestling, and more. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. David Hero over there, Damian Nelson right here. It's our first show of 2011, and you're still sporting the Skizarf.
Hey, it's all about celebration.
Celebration? Well, a lot to talk about.
What Del Rio did to Shawn Michaels on Monday Night Raw?
No, but why don't I give you a few minutes before you tell everybody what you interpreted from that angle. David Hero, a lot to talk about this week. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be watching this program. TNA Genesis this past Sunday night on pay-per-view. Two huge stories coming out of that, including a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We're going to go in-depth on CM Punk's takeover of the Nexus. Frank and Linda are in the social media center right next door.
Together?
Together. Well, they socially...
Are they tweeting?
Do things together. Well, they tweet and they Facebook and such. Talk about Raw from just Monday night, our markout moment of the week, and SmackDown was very noteworthy last Friday night.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It's a good show. But first, let's talk about TNA Genesis. Two huge newsworthy items coming out of that pay-per-view. The first of which being the debut of Matt Hardy on TNA Genesis and for TNA Wrestling. Matt Hardy coming out with a new look. Looking a little bit like Tyler Rex, causing Tyler Rex to trend on Twitter.
Good for Tyler Rex.
He was RVD's mystery opponent. Sunday night had, as I said, a new look. However, David Hero, a bit ruined because Dixie Carter spoiled it 3 hours before on Twitter.
Did she really spoil it?
She said something to the effect of, new face backstage tonight, I hope he chooses the right side.
Okay. That doesn't say who it was.
To me it did.
Really?
It did.
Why?
Because, the right side is how many people who aren't immortal?
Republicans?
I thought she spoiled it.
Okay, how many followers does Dixie Carter have?
About 50,000.
How many pay-per-view buyers do they average?
Less than 20,000.
Less than 15,000.
You're speculating.
I'm guessing. So, who was really spoiled by it?
I was.
Okay. No, you said you weren't spoiled.
I didn't say that. I said I was.
You're
Don't
spoiled?
you dare
You're
try
spoiled?
to Donald Duck and Bugs Bunny me. There was
It's Daffy Duck. You know,
I said
you should know
Daffy
that.
Duck.
You should know
There's
that.
a story there too. Anyways, Matt Hardy debuts this past Sunday night. TNA Genesis, David Hero. I don't think it was a surprise necessarily, but this one of two big unadvertised specials on that pay-per-view.
The part that sucked about the match was how they used Bischoff's kid, the referee.
Jackson Jameson.
Or Jameson Jackson. Or
Jones.
Whatever his name is. Double J. The problem is...
Not J-E-F-F.
No, he's not that guy. But the problem is that they're trying to build an angle with a referee that makes poor decisions. Why waste it there?
You got to build up to something like that. And they sort of did, because remember Matt Morgan had to come to the defense of...
And they have been building it up, but don't do it on a match where Matt Hardy's now in, Rob Van Dam's there. The fans really aren't too sure who to cheer for.
Right.
Because Matt hasn't made it known that he's truly with Immortal yet.
Well, but going up against RVD, and all RVD wants is Jeff Hardy, sort of, I think, answered that question.
Right, but Matt Hardy is still a fan favorite.
Mm-hmm.
He left the E as a fan favorite. On Twitter, he's a fan favorite.
You know what TNA's never done, at least that I can remember? A good teaser package for an inbound star. They sort of did it with Suicide. You know, where they're not saying who it is, but somebody's coming, or like the Jericho return to WWE back in 07.
Right.
Where there's some mystery and some intrigue, some build-up. There's a concept, some build-up to an event. They could have done this with Matt Hardy.
They've never done it.
I don't think they have.
Christian's just popped up. Rhino
Yeah.
popped up. Kurt Angle popped up. Ric Flair popped up. Ken Anderson popped up. Jeff
1 year
Hardy.
ago at Genesis, by the way.
Yes.
But they can get so much more out of it with that. Instead of always teasing a big announcement, a huge announcement, or tweeting out something before a show, you take 2-3 weeks and you do some cryptic kind of
they built
video.
up Jericho for a couple of months, didn't they?
Absolutely, they did, and it was obvious it was Jericho. But there's always still that little bit of doubt where it's like, oh, I gotta tune in, I gotta buy this because something's going to happen. I don't know what it is. I think I might know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I'm intrigued. I'm clicking the buy button. So basic.
You still have the buy button? You don't have that box from me?
The interactive button on the remote control. Yes, I have to purchase pay-per-views.
You're missing out, dude.
I would rather not go to jail again.
Again?
No.
Different story? Okay. I'm glad Matt Hardy showed up. I think he's going to bring something to TNA. Not too sure what it's going to be. It all depends.
Shane Helms?
Well, you got to figure Shane Helms not that far behind. He kind of hinted towards that on his YouTube show, Highway to Helms.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about Shane Helms as well is he can be Shane Helms. He can be Gregory Helms. He can be anybody but the Hurricane and still be probably as popular.
That
Close.
That Hurricane gimmick was pretty hot, though.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But it is not going to kill his future career.
No,
not
because he's
being the
going to
Hurricane.
come in with the North Carolina Brotherhood.
Kakalaki?
The Kakalakis. He's going to have Jeff, Shannon, Matt, and Shane.
But here's
All
the
that's
thing.
missing is Evan Courageous, and they got 3 count.
But who knows about that connection? If you don't follow on Twitter, if you don't read the internet, who knows about the connection between those 4 men? Matt and Jeff is obvious. Shannon Moore, I don't think anybody
you know what?
knows.
Now you're... Okay, so that is fine, but Dixie's tweets aren't? Right? We're talking about that same small percentage.
We are, but I don't think you should build a storyline around that small percentage.
They do every week.
If they
on
explain
TNA.
it, that's great. If they explain why these 4 men are together, they came from Omega, they came from North Carolina, they worked in the same companies
Whoa,
together
the
there.
Greek restaurant in South 27?
No, North Carolina.
Oh.
If they can tell that story, then it makes some sense. If they just throw them out there and never explain and expect everybody to understand and know, that's a problem.
Okay. Well, we're telling everybody right now that those 4 guys, well, that's the 4 horsemen of North Carolina. Those 4 against Fortune?
Oh, Ric Flair's from North Carolina.
Originally from,
Minneapolis.
even before
Wisconsin.
that, Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yes. Wales.
Somewhere near Little Chute.
Yeah, or Wales. I don't know, something like that.
Matt Hardy's debut, you think it was successful in TNA? Should they have done something more to show that a new talent was
Rob
coming
Van
in?
Dam blew it.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, okay, Rob,
The promo before the
you only
match.
had one thing to do, and that was to say, I want Hardy. Not, I want Matt Hardy.
He didn't say Matt Hardy.
He didn't?
People are saying he did, but I didn't catch that. Maybe I missed something.
I thought I heard Matt
You
Hardy.
wanted to hear that, so you could criticize.
That's what I do. I criticize.
I thought it was a successful debut. However, a lot of reports are that Matt Hardy looked "quote-unquote" rough.
He looks to me the same guy I've seen the last 5 years.
Well,
and that Blizzard Brawl.
Here's
The thing.
about that. Matt Hardy not very well liked or favored by the internet wrestling community, or those that report within the internet wrestling community. He's called some people out. He will continue to call people out, and he has that option and that opportunity, obviously. So that leads to some of those reports. I mean, we talked weeks ago about some of these internet reporters lashing out
These
against Matt Hardy,
pundits.
and Matt Hardy lashing back. So he's already in a bad spot, and you've got very passionate fans on either side for Matt Hardy, which means at the end of the day, there's one winner, and
Matt
that
Hardy.
man is Matt Hardy.
Absolutely. He has done extremely well being relevant and talked about for the past 94 days.
Mhm. Well, Matt Hardy debuted at TNA Genesis this past Sunday night on pay-per-view in a match against RVD, winning that matchup. RVD still in his quest to get back at the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Jeff Hardy. A new TNA World Heavyweight Champion crowned this past Sunday night at Genesis. I'm sure you've heard about it. Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson, defeats Matt Morgan to become the #1 contender. Eric Bischoff, who had earlier declared that Immortal would walk out with all of the gold in TNA wrestling.
Which is true.
Obviously forgetting about the knockouts and
because
knockouts tag titles.
Jeff's title wasn't gold, it was silver.
That he would walk out with all the championships and Immortal will take them. And it was perfectly set up, David, because they won the TV title. even given that situation with AJ Styles being injured and not able to work and Abyss replacing him. They won the X Division Championship as well. It was all playing in perfectly, which gave Bischoff, I'm talking story here, which gave Bischoff that confidence to come out and say to Ken Anderson after losing or winning against Matt Morgan, you get your title shot, but guess what? You get it right now. It was almost a Money in the Bank kind of situation.
Yeah, a reverse Money in the Bank.
And at that point, there was no way Anderson should have won or could have won that matchup because he had just had a grueling 20, 25-minute encounter with Matt Morgan where he took at least 2 carbon footprints. But things got very, very unique once Jeff Hardy proceeded down the ramp.
With cigarette in hand, hops in the ring, his street clothes, twisted fate.
Whitewash jeans, I think. Yeah.
Were they this time?
Mm-hmm.
Who wears that stuff anymore?
Jeff Hardy.
I mean, McFoley gets involved, Eric Bischoff gets involved, Matt Morgan gets involved. You know, the next,
in favor of Ken Anderson.
Right. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you got Beer Money's down there, and after a mic check later, we got a new...
And Bischoff and Flair beat down Beer Money last night on Impact. I don't get it. But anyways, a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
New.
On a pay-per-view where the World Heavyweight Champion's name had really not even been mentioned in the promotional lead-up to the pay-per-view event.
Because of the events from Genesis, I'm going to have to retract a possible statement.
What?
Yes.
Your first retraction?
Yes.
Wow, you know what a retraction says.
No, what does it
It
mean?
says that you were wrong.
Well, I could be wrong.
A possible retraction, ladies and gentlemen.
Now...
Of course, not a real retraction. It's got to be possible.
It's possible this could happen.
Always leaving a way out.
Now that he is the new TNA World Champion...
Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Anderson, there might be a slight chance the Pope may get a title shot down the road.
Unfinished business there?
Yeah. So I could see him co-headlining the pay-per-view with Mr. Anderson in a main event. Co-headlined.
Of course, go ahead.
Well, I mean, he can't do it by himself, right?
I said last week on radio it takes 2 to tango. You said not always.
Not always.
I'm talking wrestling.
I'm just saying in general. So I'm just, you know what? Can you imagine the Pope against Ken Anderson for the TNA World title?
I can imagine that.
Can you imagine
Pope's
that?
a little busy with Samoa Joe, neither of which was on the pay-per-view at Genesis.
Makes no sense what he's doing with Samoa Joe. Why
I think
is
it became
he
a little more
turning
clear.
heel now?
It became a little more clear last night.
They already got 55 million heels in Fortune. Now they need one more? The
Well-
Pope still hasn't found what he's looking for.
Was Ken Anderson in that matchup presented too strong?
Well,
He took a lot of
he
beatdown
took a lot of
and
beatings.
still became the champion.
But I think because there was so much stuff going on, I don't think the fans really noticed it unless they watched it on TV. Because there were so many distractions out there. It was almost Super Cena-ish. I'll say that. He took a hell of a beat down.
But didn't you need to do that to thrust him up into that championship?
No, I don't know. You know what? I'm glad he won the way he did, which was a clean pinfall over Jeff Hardy, and not because Matt Morgan helped him beat him.
Right.
You know?
What next for Matt Morgan?
Boy, I hope it's not a program with Ken Anderson.
And he deserves it.
Did you enjoy the match?
I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a little slow-paced
It
at
was
first.
slow-paced, but now we know why it was slow-paced, because they had another 20 minutes after that match figured out. I just don't know if Matt and Ken mesh well in the ring. I would like
That's
to
a
see
valid point.
I would like to see a regular paced match, and not one that is all of a sudden it's 9:20 on the clock and there's 40 minutes to fill and they go to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So, be interesting. But Ken Anderson,
The new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and the question that need to be asked is this a smart strategy? Was this a smart strategy by TNA, given the fact that they had a major event happen on their pay-per-view and nobody knew about it unless they ordered it?
amigo, here, hash mark, here's the thing. Jeff Hardy's going to court, right?
He is, yes.
And he's going to plead guilty, right?
Correct.
Do they want it to be TNA World Champion pleads guilty? They had to take the belt off him.
He is January 20th is when he's going to finish up that
and there's
business.
no pay-per-view before then, and they're not going to give it away on TV because now they want people to say, "Oh, well, I got to."
Oh, wait. Okay, they haven't been in the studio since early December, so okay.
Right. And now they're taping through January this week.
The only chance to get the impact out of it that they got out of it was to do it the way they did it.
Absolutely. But this way, when he goes to court and he pleads, and the media's there taking their pictures, they can say former WWE star Jeff Hardy.
Well, I think in either case they probably would.
Right, but it's better that he doesn't have the TNA World Championship belt when he's in court saying, "Yes, Your Honor. No contest, Your Honor."
Is Anderson going to get a custom belt?
I hope so.
A donkey on it or something?
A donkey?
Well, you know.
Really?
He's got a T-shirt with a donkey on it.
Well, that's a jackass.
A jackass.
Yeah.
Same thing, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I guess. You know.
You are... Two noteworthy things coming out of TNA Genesis. Third noteworthy thing, actually, as we talked about just a moment ago, AJ Styles with a legitimate injury coming out of that matchup against Douglas Williams, which was going to be a great match, by the way. And
I think it was a better match with Abyss.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. As much as I love watching AJ and Douglas Williams wrestle,
Too much wrestling?
too much.
Yeah.
They just get too much in, and yeah.
What wasn't too much wrestling, what I thought was a very well-paced match, and your point is valid, which I'm sure you'll make again as we did on the wrap-up show. The Beer Money versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Beer Money takes the titles from around the waists of Shelley and Sabin and walks out the new tag team champions for the fourth time in a row. Or for the fourth time.
They're the best tag team in wrestling. They get it. They got great charisma. They know how to work. They can tell a story. They slowed down the machine guns so people could see what they were doing this time. That's huge. It's important.
Did Beer Money defeat the Machine Guns?
No, the machine guns beat the machine guns.
How so?
Shelley or Sabin, with the running boot to the
Sabin
face in the
boot,
corner, yeah. So it kept machine guns strong.
A great match. As expected. Overall, TNA Genesis, I thought, delivered a pass and was worth $35.
Well, if you would have had the box, you would have it for free. But yeah, I thought it was a solid pay-per-view. The ending of the main event definitely helped.
Mm-hmm. Well, and TNA does it on occasion. I think overall, I will give props to TNA for this. Everything made sense at Genesis. They told some good stories with the wrestling. I think the angle with Doug Williams having the hand injury explained his title loss. I think everything relatively made sense in the whole Anderson-Morgan Hardy situation.
He had the hand injury. Madison Rayne had a hand injury.
No, she had a loaded fist, a loaded glove. Madison Rayne retaining, by the way.
Yeah.
She just keeps climbing that ladder.
That was
rung
great.
by
Happy
rung
for her.
by damned rung.
Happy for her.
Let's see what you thought of TNA Genesis on pay-per-view. Let's go to Frank and Linda in the social media center with your comments.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now it's time to talk about Genesis. Got some of your Facebook comments, and this one comes from Andy Kreidel. Andy says, TNA might be afraid that a certain wrestler could be going to prison soon. Congrats to Mr. Anderson.
Jeff Hardy, he has some legal issues. He's trying to work it out, and that's the risk that TNA took when they brought him aboard. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. But just stay out of trouble there, Jeff. Joseph Payne from Facebook writes, I already have my mark-out moment of the year for 2011, and of course, it's Mr. Anderson winning the title. Well-deserved for Mr. Anderson. The guy has worked hard his entire career, and now he's at the pinnacle as far as being a champion in TNA. Does it have legs? Let's see how long it lasts, how long
That's
TNA can do it, because the guy's athletic, he's great on the mic, obviously, and he could be a champion for a long time. At least that's my guess.
It's the skills of a superstar. So.
Absolutely. You can follow us on Twitter, pwrshow.com. Send in your thoughts, Genesis, TNA, Raw, WWE, whatever they are. We will read them here, the Social Media Center. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Linda. I'm liking the Social Media Center.
That's a lot of yahooing over there on the social media
I don't know why they're all dressed in black. They're in mourning or something.
Who knows what they were doing?
It's 2011.
They're Facebooking, tweeting, yahooing,
In depth.
kicking.
Screaming. in depth. A couple weeks ago, CM Punk took over the leadership reins of the Nexus. Wade Barrett sent over to the blue side of things, now on SmackDown, which I think can only be good for him. Punk, I think, has injected new life into this group, Nexus. However, this past Monday night on Raw, I think they took a step back with this initiation crap.
Yeah.
You got guys lashing each other with a leather strap outside of a strap match. You got Frank Cosentino's next big thing for 2011, Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater about to beat each other with a kendo stick. You got CM Punk
But
about
they
to
didn't
jump
do
off.
it.
They didn't, correct. About to jump off the Titantron, which, in case you don't recall, they did that angle before with Road Warrior Hawk.
Yeah, and they've done
which
it
was,
where Shane McMahon
well, that was
took
a
bump
spot,
off.
though.
They shouldn't have been joking with that.
They shouldn't have.
I'm wearing a harness, you idiots. Well, I know someone else that wore a harness also that had one hell of a fall.
Yeah. As we talked about on the radio show this past Tuesday night, I thought Raw had a lot more edge this past Monday night. And we're going to talk about Raw later, but specifically right now I want to talk about CM Punk's takeover in the Nexus. Their targets are still set on Cena. However, it seems like CM Punk may have some more global ambitions with the Nexus and taking them to take over all of Raw. To do that, you got to go through Cena. Now, John Cena, a little passionate in his promo this past week. What's next? So they get through Cena, or is it a CM Punk Cena thing, or do we go 6 more months where CM Punk continues to get the one-up on John Cena due to Nexus's involvement? And did this initiation help or hurt CM Punk's leadership of the group? I think I just asked 8 questions.
I think that it doesn't hurt the group by him doing the initiation. For him, it shows who's serious, almost like a Charles Manson-esque kind of deal Punk had going on there. You don't think he's real sadistic? Beatdowns.
I think that he was a bit
Strapping.
sinister, yes,
Yeah.
like a minister.
My only concern is that, okay, do they take Punk and Cena through WrestleMania? If they don't, Punk is going to be damaged going into WrestleMania because they won't have time for a new program with him. They'll have to rebuild him.
Look at where we're going. We're going to talk about SmackDown later. Look at your new #1 contender. Look where that might go. Look at The Miz, the WWE champion, which at the 20-minute mark I mentioned him first. Look at where that might go. Look at Alberto Del Rio, where that might go. Punk and Cena, look at where that might go. You got Triple H coming back, obviously, to do some business with Sheamus. We learned that The Undertaker will probably be ready and back for WrestleMania.
Brock Lesnar will not be at WrestleMania.
Brock Lesnar will not be at WrestleMania. Gee, that's shocking, isn't it? This could be a groundbreaking resetting WrestleMania for WWE. We'll talk more about that over the next few weeks. It could be, David Hero. You continue to doubt because you know what's best, but if you don't take a risk in this business.
You don't take a risk at WrestleMania. Take a risk afterwards.
The event can only get better from last year. In almost any scenario.
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, you had Chris Jericho last year. You had Shawn Michaels last year. What 2 guys have stepped up to take those 2 spots? You don't have Triple H back yet.
You've got a Wade Barrett. You'll have a Triple H back.
So you're saying Barrett equals...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you said which have stepped up to take those spots. They've stepped up. They haven't taken the spots, but I think that their game is at a point. I think Barrett's game is at a point. I think the Miz's game is at a point. I think Alberto Del Rio's game is at a point where continued solid build over the next 3 months
The
can put
problem
them
with
into
Del
a prominent
Rio
match at WrestleMania.
is he hasn't had that big win yet.
He took out Rey Mysterio for how many months? Do that a couple more times.
Everyone's
We'll all be
done,
happy.
everyone's done that. Okay? Chavo Guerrero did that.
Kaz do it?
Kaz took out Linda a couple months ago. That's a different story. Halloween, you weren't there. But Barrett hasn't had the big victory yet. So they need their street cred to come in to WrestleMania. And right now, those guys don't have it.
What's the end game for Nexus at this point?
I think they're not going to have Gabriel and
Slater?
Slater. I think they'll be gone.
Because they did not get initiated.
Look at Slater's hair. How can you take that guy seriously? His initiation should have been getting his head shaved. Even though I am a little bit nervous, I saw the new Mattel figures, and there is a Slater figure coming out. With like the huge red hair.
So you got a problem with redheads?
Not at all. I like redheads.
So there's nothing wrong with Slater but his hair.
It's ridiculous.
His hair.
Yeah. You look at him in the ring, are you intimidated by that? Does that make you nervous? You think he's going to whoop your ass, Damian Nelson? No. It's all about presentation.
Let's go back to Frank and Linda.
As you know, we love your feedback here on PWR, so make sure to continue to send us not just your Facebook comments or Twitter comments. We want your emails. We've had a few the past few
We
weeks.
have to stay busy.
We need some more. Keep them
We're gonna
coming, guys.
stay here. If the lights are on, we're getting paid for something, so we need it. Whether it's on Raw, TNA, anything wrestling related, or maybe they want to ask us personal questions. They can do that
We want to
too.
know.
Why not? Anything.
We're in the
We'll take
social
it.
media center here.
It's-
We need some more.
Exactly. PWRshow.com, Facebook, Twitter. Hit it. We'll read it.
WWE Raw this past Monday night, David Hero, good show. Not nearly as strong as last week's Raw, the first Raw of 2011. Jerry Lawler wrestling again. What in the blue hell is going on?
I have no idea. It doesn't. You know what? It's because everyone else is stuck in a program with somebody else right now.
But they're overusing it. It's not.
Here's the thing. They have to make it look like it's almost a fair fight. Okay? You got the WWE champion, The Miz, and the guy that carries his briefcase, Alex Riley, against Randy Orton, and just throw somebody in there. If it's Randy Orton and John Morrison, it's completely one-sided. The baby faces have to be at a disadvantage for that match to come across as meaning something. And since Hornswoggle's on SmackDown, they got to go with Jerry Lawler. Because you can plug in any other superstar on Raw, and that person is better than Alex Riley. I'm surprised there hasn't been handicap matches with Lawler as the referee. That would make more sense.
It seemed as if they were going to finish up the unfinished business between Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole.
They're not gonna. Because the problem is, nobody in that company knows who the GM is yet. They have no clue.
But does it need to be anybody?
It should be somebody.
Really?
Why not?
The
Give it
computer
some
has heat,
legitimacy.
Dave.
No.
The emails have heat.
Michael Cole has heat.
Okay. Would he have that without this GM gimmick?
Probably could, yeah.
Really?
Why not? Because he could still be the pandering kiss up to the GM.
Jonathan Coachman? He played that role
Right.
well.
But the difference is that Coachman and The Rock were buddies.
Yeah.
So you couldn't hate Coachman because The Rock always got over on him.
Mm-hmm. Tag team champions looked like we were going to open Raw with Santino
And I was
Kozlov.
like, holy crap, I can't believe they're doing this.
And you couldn't believe it because they weren't.
And a week earlier, you had Miz opening Raw. Now this week, you have the tag champs. Didn't make any sense.
Nexus coming down and making that match.
Or Santino. You know, they invest a lot into Santino and Kozlov the past few weeks with the whole Cobra thing, and they bring out Tamina, and they beat him down. So now it makes the Usos and every other tag team they got weak.
John Cena, in addressing CM Punk in the Nexus, got a little carried away.
Yeah, it says I'm wearing purple. Who brags about that?
He swore, David Hero. He used the term ass on a PG-rated
He didn't
program.
say ask.
He did not.
It was
He said-
after 9 o'clock, though. Big difference.
He did not say X. He did not say
You've
ass.
never
he
heard
said ass.
Oscar the Grouch say ass on Sesame Street?
No, because he hasn't.
Of course he has.
No, he hasn't.
Lady Elaine and Mr. Rogers?
No.
Of course.
Okay, so John Cena has apologized and told everyone out on Twitter that he got fined for using that term. this
He got
past Monday
fined
night.
on a
That's what he
tape
said.
promo?
That was live via satellite, David.
Yeah, okay.
I think Raw had a bit of an edge.
It did. It was kind of creepy.
A creepy edge.
Creepy edge.
That is a perfect summary of this past Monday night. Now, I'm not going to get into this PG Attitude Era argument because you can never recreate the Attitude Era, but
Never.
they can spice up their programming a little, give themselves.
It's going to
a
look
little-
forced.
Mhm.
Because they've done everything they can to bring it down to PG, to now shift that needle a little bit. I don't know.
Given where WWE is right now, if they had an Austin-esque character, the rebel, the badass, the swearing, the fingers, that could almost work again. Only because it's so
They
unlike
kinda
anything
got
else in
Randy
the company.
Orton, minus the swearing and the fingers. Has he ever looked more out of place?
Or more unenthused. I do like what he said this past Monday night, something to the effect of, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, that's not what he said, but something along those lines. Good. He is the wrestler of the year, by the way, from the
Yeah,
Pro
but
Wrestling Report.
right now I wouldn't give him that. The last
just a
4
week ago you did.
The last 4 or 5
For the first
2010.
10 months of the year.
Yeah, but for the last 4 or 5 months, there's no way. He's been terrible.
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 Yeah. Unenthused. There's no fire.
Well, would you be enthused with the stuff he's been through?
Working with Miz? Not at all. That's what you're talking about, right?
No, of course that's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about then? Who's he working
being
with?
a face, being a good guy. That is not Randy Orton's character.
He's been that way since summer.
Right.
Since WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah.
I like what he said this past Monday night, but we talked about it earlier, and we talked about it on the radio this past week. CM Punk on top of the Tron, he's about to jump. He's got a harness. He repeated it several times. I like what he said afterwards, but at the same time, I didn't like at all what he said afterwards.
No, I guess
It was almost of a bullying kind of nature,
he is being a bully because he's got the muscle behind him right now.
including Heath Slater. How about Husky Harris taking those lashings?
He's a stud. Right there. He took it too, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Ouch.
And that was no gimmicked up strap either. That was a legit leather strap he took.
That it was. Well, this past Monday Night's Raw gained about 100,000 viewers over the prior week for a 3.05 rating. Now, what's interesting, David Hero, is this past Monday Night's Raw, maintaining the same rating as it got last week, was up against the most watched cable television program of all time, the BCS title game.
Yeah.
27.3 million people watched that.
Did you watch any of it?
Absolutely not.
I watched the.
I watched Raw, then Hoarders, and went to bed.
Hoarders?
It's a great show. See all those rats?
I haven't. What's
Season
Hoarders?
finale. It's about hoarders. People who can't throw stuff away. And
Oh, I they said whores like streetwalkers. I'm like, really? They got a show about that kind of stuff?
they did on HBO called, well, there was Cat House, and then there was, when they were on Atlantic City with all the, it was like a documentary about these
Really?
real, oh yeah, it was an interesting show.
I hear Showtime has something like that coming up pretty soon too.
I don't subscribe to that.
Of course you wouldn't.
No. Don't. Let's see what the people out there thought of WWE Raw this past Monday night. Back to the Kaz and Linda Kay.
Thank you, Damian. Dave, WrestleMania coming up soon. And Raw had that feeling that, things are going to start to roll.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people want to talk about it. Here we are in the social media center. What are some people saying?
All right, we've got some feedback and some thoughts from the fans here coming from Facebook. First one comes from Shannon Hubbard. Shannon says, HBK going into the Hall of Fame this year was a surprise to me. HBK appearing on Raw, though, was the best of all. And I must agree with Shannon.
Yeah, he's well-deserved. There's going to be many other wrestlers that are just as deserving coming up very soon as they announce them week by week. So I kind of agree. Not a surprise, though, as they start building on WrestleMania.
But just, the first name to announce the Hall of Fame. It's awesome.
Well-deserved. Here's a note from Andrew Dreissharp. If I mispronounced your name, I apologize. I actually like the new Nexus angle. It makes Punk look like a crazed cult leader. I agree with that, as a crazed cult leader, because he has an experience as being a crazed cult leader. So it fits well. Still got a little marinating to do there as far as being in Nexus, especially with Cena involved, but I kind of like it also, so I agree.
Absolutely. And now going along with that about Punk, Dave the Mark also commented from Facebook says, "You know you've got heat when thousands want you to jump off the throne."
Yeah. Well, how many times has he had to say that he had a harness? He had a harness. Guess what? He had a harness. We know. It was a little strange. It's not going to jump off a Titantron or anything like that, but that's kind of pushing the envelope a little bit, and we'll see how fans are reacting to that in the coming weeks to see if Punk kind of pushes the envelope farther as far as initiations and such. And one more here from Twitter. This is from Blanchard Buzz. Tonight's Raw had that pre-WrestleMania 14 feeling. I like that things are changing. I don't know if they're changing, I just think they're transitioning to their biggest show of the year. And we'll see, and actually Royal Rumble kind of really kicks that off, but WrestleMania is good stuff. So
Absolutely.
We'll see.
The transition is very important in the upcoming weeks. So if you want your comments and feedback read here in the social media center, become a fan on Facebook with us through our link at pwrshow.com. Now let's take it back over to our analysts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
It is time now for our mark out moment of the week. And you know what? We deliberately didn't talk about one big thing that happened on Raw this past Monday night, which was talked about in the social media center, the announcement. The first inductee into the 2011 WWE Hall of Fame, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Talk about a mark out moment, made even that much better by his surprise appearance and Alberto Del Rio.
Del Rio put it over. He made it special. Comes out, congratulates him, wishes him the best, challenges him to one more match at WrestleMania.
Because he's going to win the Royal Rumble. He's going to go to WrestleMania.
I don't think he's going to win the Royal Rumble.
This is what Alberto said.
Right. And you know what? It just would have been nice if Shawn Michaels would have been a little bit more appreciative of Del Rio's skills.
I was just thinking about his ring announcer earlier in the night with K-Quick.
Brutal.
Play, or whatever he was saying. That was funny.
What's up? You know what? That kid should just stick to ring announcing and don't get involved at all. Because
that's the way out the door.
He's like a fish out of water. You know?
Well, he's a wrestler.
He's not
I don't know how good, but
is he?
He's a wrestler, yeah.
He never sold a damn ticket. You can tell.
Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everyone's been reporting for months that it's going to be a WCW-themed Hall of Fame, but now there's another option that might get to play out this Hall of Fame.
And what's that option?
Click. Shawn Michaels. Another certain member of the Click is free, who was a part of WCW.
Kevin Nash?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that happening.
Not at all?
No.
No chance? No chance in hell?
No, you gotta get Scott Hall, you gotta get X-Pac and Triple H.
WWE can make the Click whatever they want to make the Click. Remember, DX included how many people at first, and now it's just Shawn Michaels and Triple H? Who remembers Chyna and Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg? Of course, you do, but the fans that they've reintroduced DX to don't. They can call it a Click.
You know...
And they can get Scott Hall easily. I mean, they've been taking care of him lately, so...
I wasn't that surprised. I wasn't that ecstatic Shawn Michaels is in the Hall of Fame this year.
Really? Too soon?
Too soon.
Really, too soon?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, remember last year's Hall of Fame, no real main eventer.
Well, no, there wasn't, but... Boy, talk about rushing it. They obviously don't have the strong Hall of Fame class I'd hoped for. Why would you bring Shawn Michaels right away if you supposedly have this WCW thing with Sting in the works and whatever else?
But, I mean, they could still take a WCW spin on it. Just because Michaels is in doesn't mean they're not going to go that route. I mean, Arn Anderson is another name that is widely reported to be getting inducted, which makes a lot of sense.
That's a lock. He has to go in now.
I still think the money play for WrestleMania, Sting into the Hall of Fame, Sting versus Taker at Mania, especially now that we know totally 100% that Brock Lesnar will not be a part of WrestleMania at
but
this
how
point.
many fans will go nuts for Sting and Taker?
I think most all of them. I don't think most of WWE's fans have been exposed to Sting since he left WCW.
I don't think many of the fans of Raw and SmackDown right now know who Sting is.
I would tend to disagree.
Look at
And
all
keep
the
in mind,
kids.
what is WWE great at? Introducing and reintroducing.
Right.
They can get people on.
They're going to have 2 months to introduce.
Oh, they can do that. Look at all the footage they got. They can show Sting versus Flair, Sting versus Steamboat, Sting versus.
But here's the thing, Damian Nelson, is that the kids don't know who Sting is. So it's just a guy with face paint on. They might think it's the Ultimate Warrior.
I disagree.
Or
I think
Hakushi.
they're disagreeing with you right now too. I think you're
Those are
discrediting.
different wrestling fans.
I don't think you're giving enough credit to Sting. Do they know who Lex Luger is?
No.
How'd they know who Bret Hart was? He's been gone longer than Sting's
Right,
been.
and he wasn't fully embraced.
It wasn't.
Did they ever cut to a camera angle of the kids being like, oh my god, there's Bret Hart?
No, they only cut to that camera angle when the WWE Championship changed hands.
Yeah.
The best reaction of a wrestling fan in quite a while.
Absolutely, when John Cena won the title back at SummerSlam. They went nuts. It wasn't SummerSlam. Don't correct me. I would like to see it. You want to see it. The Kaz wants to see it. I don't know if intern Cal would really care.
You don't think it's a money match?
It is a money match,
But how is...
but only for a certain demographic.
Okay.
For pay-per-view buys, yes.
Okay. Yes.
But
yes.
for the people that are going to go to WrestleMania that already have their tickets,
Like you and Kaz?
they don't care. Absolutely.
Anderson, you're meeting up with some fans down there.
Yeah, I
Getting
got to
some
straighten some people out.
Things
down
worked
there.
out.
Yeah.
You had a little Twitter rant recently.
I had a Twitter rant.
What's going on there? Are you stable?
You know what?
Are you okay?
I'm great. It's
We got an
just-
image to protect here. We're fan friendly, you know.
We are fan friendly, but certain fans are gonna be put in check. You just can't hide
Code
behind.
check?
You can't hide behind your little gimmick
You
name.
play chess?
No, I don't play chess. I play checkers.
Red or
And-
black? I mean, which do you prefer? I don't know.
Well, I prefer red.
Shocking.
You know, yeah. But I just don't like how they hide behind their Twitter names, and go off on tangents and talk smack to people. No, they would never say it to their face in person. Be a man or be a woman, and put your real name on there, and it's all about the delivery. You know that, Damian Nelson. It's all about delivery.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. What else you got for me, champ?
SmackDown this past Friday night, not tonight's edition, but last week, we saw Dolph Ziggler lose the Intercontinental Championship, bouncing it back to Kofi Kingston in what was a good matchup. Match restarted, actually. Kofi wins it again and keeps the Intercontinental Championship that he had just won. But things got very interesting later on in that match, or I'm sorry, later on in that night, after we saw Kane and Edge have a great match as well. Dolph Ziggler becomes the #1 contender
Number one.
for the World Heavyweight
The World
Championship, and that match may happen tonight. But I would venture to say this is going into the Royal Rumble, where you can do it easily.
Yeah, good for Dolph Ziggler. I mean, for a guy that is now in his third gimmick with the WWE,
Mikey? No, he wasn't Mikey. Which one was he? Nikki.
Nikki, Dolph Ziggler, and he was Kerwin White's caddy.
Was he really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
that's what I'm here for.
Was he really?
Yeah, roll the tape. Look at it.
That was before Nikki then.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, so they've
You know,
liked
Mikey's
it.
in ROH now.
Yes, but they've liked
Ring
Dolph
of Honor.
Ziggler for a while, and you know what? Good for him.
Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler. Remember that?
Yeah, it was great. But listen, you're missing the point. Third time's the charm. They finally got a gimmick. He hasn't quit. He's worked harder. The women love him. The guys think he's cool. He has a chance to beat Edge for the world title.
One important point, he's a tremendous in-ring performer.
He's a great talent.
Dumped Vicky last week, it seems.
Oh, he asked her. Now he's the number one contender. Doesn't need her anymore.
Got what he needed.
That's how it works. You know that.
SmackDown gets its highest rating since moving to Sci-Fi last Friday night at 1.9. I don't think you can say that the show content actually did anything for that, as opposed to maybe having lack of competition or whatnot, but a good sign for SmackDown. A brilliantly produced show last week, I thought.
It was good. I liked it.
How you feel about Josh Matthews on SmackDown? Todd Grisham now on NXT.
I like Josh Matthews. I think he's a good kid. Talented.
Strong. Remember he did Velocity with Somebody called
Didn't
my
he call
mama.
you Maven at one
Ernest
time?
Mama. He did. He said that I spoke to him just after Tough Enough, and
That was during the XWF.
it was during the XWF, yes. And he said, I don't have, my eyebrows aren't as bushy, and I never eliminated The Undertaker, so.
No.
Close, but no cigar, Monica. SmackDown solid last week. And SmackDown, don't get me wrong, we don't talk about it often enough, not a bad show ever, really.
Yes, Jack
But
Swagger and Del Rio. What else do you need?
I don't even remember anything Jack Swagger may or may not have done last Friday night on SmackDown.
Oh my gosh.
Jack Swagger has gone into the cave of insignificance, in my opinion.
Hush your mouth.
In my opinion, you go, a man who was a former champion,
Former
was
world
walking around with a
champion.
chicken,
That was Chavito.
who now is, if I see him, all right. If I don't see him, I don't miss it. I'm just saying, my opinion as a fan. Just saying.
It's fine. It's your opinion. At Damian Nelson has an opinion. I can see this.
Want to remind all of you to check out the 2010 Pro Wrestling Report Honors, where we announced all the winners, including Fan of the Year, David Hero.
How about that? You got heat for that too.
Did I?
A lot of people were upset.
Well, it comes with the
They
territory.
wanted it.
It is going to be heavily contested for 2011, but
Oh,
you
we're
can
gonna be
check that out
contested.
at pwrshow.com. And also, if you've got that app on your Android or on your iPhone, and now I guess you can play it on your Verizon iPhone once you get that on February 3rd or 10th.
10th.
3rd if you're currently a Verizon customer. You can pre-order.
Don't get hot. I'm just saying the 10th is fine.
Make sure to check out the bonus content available. You can get a wallpaper and some extra
Wait.
footage.
There's DWHS wallpaper. I'm going to have to get an iPhone now. That's
No,
awesome.
you should probably just go Android.
Oh,
Android's
yeah.
so much
I'll get
better.
the HTC Sprint phone.
The Evo.
Evo.
It's
Is
got a
that what you have?
kickstand.
Yes.
It's a nice phone. Be sure to check out the 2011 Pro Wrestling Report Honors. And, you know, that auction's up still at pwrshow.com. It's an autographed PWR shirt. Frank put it up for auction. He
Wow.
made us sign it, didn't tell us why, until radio this past Tuesday
He
night.
said it was for Linda. She wanted it.
Well, she signed it, so why would she want it?
Well, Frank lied.
To get what he wanted from Linda?
Yeah, well, they are tweeting now.
Takes two to tango.
Facebooking. Sometimes.
Major announcement. Monday, Martin Luther King Day, you know. We return.
Is the Pope going to be on?
You know what? I should effort that. I don't know why him being on would be at all related to Monday, Martin Luther King Day.
MLK. POPE.
Pro Wrestling Report, PWR, returns to its Monday night time slot starting Monday. Monday right after WWE Raw, 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern. We're home. We're back on
Finally.
Mondays.
Finally.
Feels good. And we want to thank all of you who have followed us around the dial as we have been rescheduled due to Monday Night Football and other challenges. How about those Packers?
How about those Packers?
Tomorrow, big game. Are they going to do it?
Humendous. You know what? I got to believe. They beat the...
You know, I'm going to be at the Super Bowl.
I know. You'll be in
Well,
Dallas.
I'll be in Dallas. I'm not going to the game. 'Cause,
You'll be tailgating.
why wouldn't I?
Drinking your 40s.
Wow.
Everything's bigger in Texas. What, you got the big 10-gallon cowboy hat, 40-ounce
Well, is
beers?
it going to be in a paper bag when I drink it, or is
If you want a
I'm going
paper
to put
bag...
Jack's on the curb?
Wow, Jack's on the curb. Cousin Jack has not been on the curb in quite a while. Why is there...
I don't drink beer.
What? What?
I don't drink
Did you get
beer.
that, did you get that for your,
I'm a
New
Jameson
Year's
kind of guy.
resolution?
Jameson and Sprite, I don't drink beer.
Since when? Maybe the past couple weeks.
Look, everybody's watching my figure. So I can't be drinking beer and putting on pounds, you know? Jameson, Sprite, no hangover in the morning. Try it. It's endorsed.
Why Jameson?
Why not?
Damian Nelson, you've changed. Used to be a beer...
Monday night, 10 o'clock p.m., right after WWE Raw. The Pro Wrestling Report returns to 540 ESPN. We're going to be back here again with a brand new edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television next week. So keep those tweets, Facebook comments, and your emails coming so Frank and Linda can be happier. And we'll see you next week right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television.